The colonel stared at Staff Sergeant Adriana Reeves through the video feed and said what everyone was thinking. I don't approve of a female FO being left, exposed at a cop that is isolated. Pull your team back to the green zone. 3 hours later, that same Colonel Wood watched drone footage of a 26-year-old woman with 2 shattered legs dragging herself through Afghan dirt for 75 m, calling in coordinates that would save 85 Marines. The IED had torn through her legs at 0947 hours. By 0958, she'd become the reason 2 full platoon made. At home, Combat Outpost Warrior sat near the Pakistan border in Kinnar Province. Afghanistan, a forgotten speck where the mountains bled into desert. Staff Sergeant Adriana Reeves checked her radio frequencies in the observation post, her practice fingers moving across the equipment despite the pre-dawn darkness. At 26, she'd spent 8 years as a forward observer, 13F. In Army terms, the Marines knew her as the FO who never missed a grid, coordinator who could call and steal rain with surgical precision. What they didn't know was that she'd grown up calculating trajectories on her grandfather's artillery range in Oklahoma, where he taught ballistics to 3 generations of soldiers. Whether you're watching from Chicago or Charlotte, from Seattle or San Antonio, you know someone like Adriana, someone who carried their family's military legacy in their bones. If stories about unbreakable warriors matter to you, hit that subscribe button now. The thermometer read -2C. Outside, Marine Rifle Company Bravo prepared for what should have been a routine patrol to Village 447. Intelligence said the Taliban had pulled back. Intelligence was wrong. Adriana came from 4 generations of artillerymen. Her great-grandfather had called in fire at Normandy. Her grandfather was in Vietnam. Her father in Desert Storm. When she was 12, her grandfather Samuel would spread maps across their kitchen table in Laton, Oklahoma, teaching her to read terrain like scripture. The Army recruiter had pushed her toward logistics or medical when she'd walked, and at 18, she placed her grandfather's Bronze Star on his desk and told him she was going to be a forward observer. No discussion. At Fort Sills Fire Support Specialist Course, she graduated with honors. Not just the top woman, the top soldier, period. Her instructor said she had an unnatural gift for seeing terrain in 3 dimensions, for understanding how steel and explosive would flow across a landscape like water. She deployed 5 times, Iraq twice, Afghanistan 3 times. Her early promotion to staff sergeant came after 2 combat deployments where she'd consistently earned top evaluations. Each deployment, commanders tried to keep her at battalion level away from the line companies. Each time, she'd fought to be where the rounds landed, not where they originated. Her last evaluation report had a single line that said everything. SSG Reeves possesses the finest tactical mind for fire. Support I've witnessed in 22 years of service. But the new brigade commander hadn't read that report. He'd seen only her gender and made assumptions. The Marines at Ethiopia Warrior had specifically requested her. The conflict started during the brigade video conference at 0600. Colonel Marcus Bedford, 2 weeks in the country, reviewed the day's operations from his tactical operations center at Kandahar. He stopped when he saw Adriana's position on the operational map. Why is there a female soldier at Ethiopia Warrior? That's a red zone position. Captain Torres, the Marine Company commander, leaned toward the camera. Sir, Staff Sergeant Reeves is our attached foe. She's been here for months. Best fire support specialist we've ever had. Bedford's jaw Tightened on screen. Captain, I don't approve of a female foe being left. Exposed at a cop that is isolated. The risk assessment doesn't support have her on the next convoy back. Adriana stood in the corner of the small command post watching the exchange. She'd heard this before from officers who rapped their bias and concern for safety, but Bedford had the authority to pull her. Torres tried again. Colonel, with respect, we're moving through complex terrain today. 2 platoon, 85 Marines. Reeves knows every grid square. She has all our pre-registered targets memorized. Bedford, cut him off. Captain, you have your orders. Fine. Another FO or cancel the mission. I won't have a female soldier's death on my conscience when there are alternatives. Pull your team back if you can't operate without her. The screen went black. Torres looked at Adriana, then at his platoon leaders. The mission would go forward. They'd claim communications problems if questioned. Gunnery Sergeant Collins pulled up the patrol route on his tablet. Staff, Sergeant, we step off in 30 minutes. Both platoon are counting on you. Adriana nodded, already calculating probable enemy positions. She grabbed her kit, 60 pounds, including the radio. Equipment that would prove critical. She'd programmed every pre-registered target into her system over 4 months of walking this valley. In the pre-patrol darkness, Adriana sat alone writing grid, coordinates in her range book. Her hands steady during a 100 danger close. Missions trembled slightly with anger. She thought about her grandfather's words before her first deployment. They'll test you twice as hard because you're a woman, Eddie. Let them. When the rounds start flying, nobody cares about anything except whether you can bring steel on target. The irony burned. She called in over 300 fire missions without a single friendly casualty. She'd walk point with infantry platoon through the worst valleys in Afghanistan, earning trust round by round. Through the window, she watched the Marines doing final checks. Young faces, most on their first deployment. They didn't care about politics. They cared that she'd never missed a call, never been late with suppression. She pulled out the laminated photos she carried for generations of Reeves men in artillery uniforms, and her in the center, the first woman to carry the tradition forward. Her father had added one line when he'd given it to her: make us proud, but more importantly, bring them home. She tucked the photo back and stood. Bedford could pose from Kandahar all he wanted. These Marines were her responsibility now. She grabbed her rifle and headed for the gate, already running terrain analysis. The valley had too many dead zones, too many perfect ambush sites. The patrol moved into Valley 447 at 0921 hours. 2 platoon, 85 Marines spread across squad lanes, with Adriana positioned with the command element between them. Morning shadows made every rock a potential threat. At 0943, her radio crackled. Watcher 1, this is Hammer 2. 1, movement on the ridgeline. Over. Adriana scanned with her rangefinder. Multiple heat signatures. Could be goat herders. She called for Marines to hold while she verified. Then she saw it. Reflection from optics. Military grade. Contact. Imminent. Take Sylvie. The IED detonated directly beneath her at 0947 hours. The world went white, then black, then came back in fragments. Smoke, screaming, copper and dirt. Adriana tried to stand and collapsed. Her left leg was shattered below the knee bone, protruding. Her right femur was broken, leg bent impossibly. Through the chaos, she heard the worst sound. PKM machine, guns from 3 directions. The platoon were trapped in a coordinated ambush. Without fire support, they'd be slaughtered. Her radio had been blown 50 m away near a cluster of rocks. The handset glinted in the dust, intact, but far. Mountains blocked direct communication with the battalion. Only her specialized equipment could reach. The fire base. Only she knew the pre-registered targets that could suppress those positions in seconds. Marines were taking heavy fire, bodies dropping. Rodriguez took rounds to the chest plate. Thompson's arm disappeared in red mist. Without immediate suppression, none of them would survive. 10 minutes. Adriana ripped her tourniquet from her vest and cranked it high on her left thigh where arterial. Blood spurted. The pain nearly knocked her unconscious, but it bought her time. She bit through her lip and started crawling. 10 m. Her vision grayed. Marines calling for fire support. Enemy. Fires increasing. Disciplined and deadly. 20 m blood trail in the dirt. Her fingers clawed rocks, pulling her broken body forward. The right femur ground against itself with each movement. 30 m. Doc Ramirez. The chorusman spotted her and started running. RPG round exploded where he'd been. She waved him back, screaming to stay in cover. 40 m. Her body was going into shock. Tunnel vision, rapid. Breathing, cold despite the heat. She forced herself to count landmarks. The blackened boulder, the dead tree, each one closer to the radio. 50 m. Enemy fighters maneuvering for the kill. Shot on first platoon. Muzzle flashes, converging on their position. 60 m. Her left hand found a rock. Hold. Right hand. Another rock pulled a radio just ahead, but her body shutting down. 75 m. She grabbed the handset with blood slick fingers. Steel rain. Steel rain. This is Watcher 1. Emergency fire mission. Troops in contact. Danger close. Break. Her voice stayed steady through pure. Will. Grid Sierra Uniform 3245-67-89. Enemy infantry in the open. Target Alpha. 4. He quick in effect. Danger close. How to copy. Through static came. Salvation. Watcher 1. Steel rain. Good. Copy. Rounds out. 60 seconds. She rolled onto her back, pulling her map. The enemy was flanking. She called. Adjustments. Walking 155 millimeters. He across. The ridge line using memorized targets. Target Alpha 4. Right 100, drop 50. Target Bravo 1 fire for effect. First. Rounds impacted 45 seconds later. The valley erupted. She kept calling through pain and darkness. When enemy fighters tried retreating north, Target Charlie was waiting. When they tried reinforcing from the village, Target Delta 1 blocked them through fading consciousness. She heard the lieutenant, Watcher 1, enemies breaking. You saved us all. She managed one more. Transmission. All stations need urgent. Surgical medevac, my post. One patient. Bilateral lower extremity trauma. Then, darkness took her. Adriana woke up at Landstuhl Medical Center 5 days later. Both legs and external fixators, metal. Rods and pins holding shattered bones. The surgeon said she'd walk again. Eventually, but her faux days were over. Captain Torres stood beside her bed with 6 Marines from the patrol. Torres set a folder down. Silver Star already. Approved, but the colonel watched the drone footage. He's pushing to upgrade it to Distinguished Service Cross. Second highest Army award, one below. Medal of Honor. He showed her a tablet. Every Marine from both platoon had recorded messages. 85 voices, 85 faces, 85 versions of the same truth. She'd save them all. Colonel Bedford wants to apologize in person. He's flying here tomorrow Adriana turned toward the window. Tell the colonel I don't need his apology. I need him to remember that. Capability isn't determined by gender. It's determined by who keeps calling. Fire with 2 broken legs and half there. Blood in the dirt. 8 months later, she stood on titanium and determination at Fort Sill teaching forward observers. Her classroom had one addition. A bloodstain map from Afghanistan in A, frame with 85 signatures. The inscription, Staff Sergeant Adriana. Reeves crawled 75M with bilateral leg. Fractures to call fire support. Saving. 2 Marine platoon. September 11th, 2013. Valley 447, Afghanistan. Never tell a soldier what they cannot do. Her grandfather's Bronze Star sat beside it.